ATP Tour, take note, this is how you beat Jack Draper. Jack Draper, very, very, very good example of aggressive first striking, but there'll be hundreds of players who you've played at your club who are doing the same thing, and if you can figure them out, that's the beginning of this process. Hi, Ben from PH Tennis here, and today in this latest episode, apparently that's what we're calling them now, I am going to explain how you can beat Jack Draper or a player of a similar ilk. Somebody who likes to be a big first striking tennis player. First chance they get, using their big weapon to dominate the court. The couple of videos we've already done explained why he does this and how to play like that. But the other side of the coin is how to defeat that opponent. How do you make life difficult for someone who is trying to shorten the points, trying to put you under instant pressure and ultimately end rallies before they start? Well, there's a few options you have, and we're going to go through them right now.
That's an early statement.
Job one is to survive. A player like Jack Draper, these big, first striking, aggressive, early, powerful tennis players are ultimately trying to end the point before it can even start. This means we're not trying to win the point ourselves in that time. We're just trying to survive. We're just trying to say to them, I know what you're trying to do to me and I'm going to prevent that one thing. The temptation that can often happen is we try and fight fire with fire. And if you do it harder, I'm going to do it harder straight back again. Ultimately, that compression of time is exactly what a player like Jack Draper is after. So the mistake is to try and fight fire with fire. What we need to do instead is just survive. Get past those first two balls. Start actually making the rally into a rally, because that is the one thing they don't want. There's lots of talk about serve plus one. If that's it, if they have a big serve and they're trying to go for it on their plus one, if you can survive that, deep in the back of their brain, they have failed, and it's going to start to chip away at their confidence. And this is how you start to just pull those players back from this aggressive, expressive tennis. So, job one, just make some balls. Don't worry about trying to create your own pressure. Survive, survive, survive. The second thing you can do to these big, first striking, aggressive tennis players is to ultimately take their contact point and start messing around with it. The one thing players who want short, structured points are after is structure. So if you can keep changing what is happening, ultimately it just keeps them a little bit off balance, keeps them a little bit guessing, like they're guessing a little bit, they're not 100% sure where the ball's going to be, and that just pushes them a little bit deeper, just makes them hesitate just a little bit, and ultimately can start to suck away at this aggression. The main idea is, well, if the ball is high one shot, then low, then fast, then slow, then deep, then short, then flat, then spinny, the first striker is going to have to work so much harder to create the opportunity that they want. There are other players who play in different ways who don't mind this variation so much, and this is the point. You have to try and tailor your game to the person down the other end. A Jack Draper first striker, all they want is the ball where they want it. If it's here, it's gone. So you need to make sure they don't know where here is. Lots of variety, especially while surviving. Ultimately, the pressure you are starting to deliver to them is, you don't know what's coming next. I am going to disrupt this rally whilst you're trying to end it. Trying to end a disrupted rally is much, much harder than one that they can predict. Next up, and along a similar line, is we are ultimately trying to keep these players off of their base. Jack Draper, Jannik Sinner, Andrei Rublev, Sabalenka, they want to hold the centre of the court and absolutely demolish the ball from there. So just keep them moving. As long as they are moving sideways, they are not moving forwards. And a player who is trying to end points quickly wants to be moving forwards. Direction is going to be absolutely critical for you, as well as height and depth, and ultimately weight on the ball. Just moving someone side to side, if it's done sort of a bit tentatively and a bit slowly, that's not really going to achieve what you want. It needs to be done with purpose. You need to make sure that that player down the other end of the court cannot set and stabilize. You can do it with variation, or you can do it by moving them. Never down the middle, never to the same spot. If they are moving sideways, they are far less likely to hurt you. Backwards would be great, but very difficult to do to someone who is standing their ground and holding the baseline. So first thought is, let's get them running side to side. Next up, we have ultimately a tactic that is always running. No matter who you are or who you're playing, you are always trying to exploit a weakness. I am not going to sit here and start saying that Jack Draper has holes in his game, but if you watch him, it's pretty obvious very quickly that he prefers to do his damage with his forehand than he does with his backhand. We are not saying his backhand is a bad shot, but it is certainly less of a threat to you. So no matter who it is down the other end of the court and how they are shortening the points and how they are getting this first strike at you, you need to try and find the shot they don't like. Everybody has a weakness or a shot they don't like quite so much. Your job is to find it and to try and exploit it in a way that prevents them doing their damage. Going down the middle of the court and putting Draper slightly on his backhand isn't going to do anything. But if you make him play 10 different backhands from varying heights and varying widths with different levels of spin on, maybe that will prevent that big attacking first strike. Lastly, and this is arguably the most important and all-encompassing of everything we're going to talk about in these series of videos, but ultimately you need to keep playing your game. The biggest mistake players make when they have an opponent down the other end is to abandon any sort of belief or game that they have and try to just ultimately beat the other player. How are you going to beat the other player shouldn't change as long as it fits within how you want to go about tennis. If you are someone who also likes to be a big first striking tennis player, well, okay, in that scenario, you are going to try and take him on a little bit. You aren't going to sort of hang around and try and survive, but it's going to become a straight level fight. If they are better than you and you are trying to do exactly the same thing, guess who's going to win? Therefore, if Yannick Sinner is watching this video, you might be okay. But for most of you, if Jack Draper's down the other end of the court, I think it's unlikely that if you try and mirror his game style, you're going to come out on top. The point being, how you think points should be played is always the right thing to do. So you need to just try and raise your level and push it and push it and push it. Think about someone like Rafa Nadal. Under pressure against a big aggressive tennis player, he didn't go, time to shorten some points and get this done quickly. He was like, I'm going to survive these first two balls. I'm going to keep grinding you down. My pressure is going to build over time. That's the point. Stay true to your game. If you win, if you lose, ultimately it's how you go about it that is more important. The results will come later. So that big, scary, aggressive player down the other end of the court, there is always a way to beat them. You just need to get better and better and better. And the most important way to do that is to focus on your game. In summation, if you can survive the first strike, you are going to change the match. Once you've changed the match, you are going to try and deliver pressure in your way, exploiting their weakness, ultimately trying to stop them taking control and using their weapons. Easier said than done, I can appreciate, but this is the whole point of tennis. We are trying to get better at our game so we can beat more players. Jack Draper, very, very, very good example of aggressive first striking, but there'll be hundreds of players who you've played at your club who are doing the same thing, and if you can figure them out, that's the beginning of this process. Best of luck. Any questions or comments, stick them below whilst you are liking and subscribing the video. Of course, it really does help. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you soon.